So, it's time to start. Hello and good morning and welcome to the first MAM in Denmark. I am Lorenzo Busatti from Italy. I'm doing this job since 19 years, I think. Start to deliver internet in dial-up with modems, you know. And then I'm a founder of Linkwave in 2006. That was 10 years ago, and I am a trainer also for all the training classes of MikroTik, and I am a proud member of the M6 RIPE and Mixit in my country. I'm a consultant and trainer in most of countries in the world, and this was the big cake for our 10 years of wireless network for 300 people, I think. And this is where I live, in Tuscany, in Italy. And this is the beautiful landscape that you can find there. Before than that, I am a MikroTik evangelist, so the one that thinks that everything should be just MikroTik. No other brand allowed, and no other brands will touch with my hands. I am also the founder last year of the Routing and Wireless Academy. It's a non-profit organization for high-quality training partners. The slides, like the others, are dedicated to Max, that was my friend and is not with us anymore. And this is a way to bring him with me in my presentation. Was a colleague, was a trainer. So let's start now. The peering in the internet exchange point. There are physical infrastructure where internet service providers exchange internet traffic between their networks or autonomous system. Carriers, ISP, content providers meet together. So the big player of the net and also you can meet together into a router or a switch, like I'm used to say. The internet exchange point reduces the traffic that you will deliver to upstream providers. So you will reduce the per bit cost of the services. That's it. You will also improve routing efficiency and fault tolerance. There are many internet exchange into the world. The largest one is in Germany, the D6 in Frankfurt. The second one is in Amsterdam, the M6, where I am. The Linksys in London is the third one, and then the others like the Moscow one, the Washington DC, the Tokyo. And you can find on Wikipedia the leaderboard of the internet exchange. But let's start now to talk about a few numbers. This is updated yesterday. So the D6 is the first in the world for traffic. This is the peak traffic, was 5 terabits. And they have 660 AS members. So you can peer directly with them in just one point. The second one in Amsterdam is just a little less, the peak traffic, so just 4.7 terabit per second, but they have more AS numbers, so you can peer with more members, so with more networks. That's it, and then the other. What the traffic look like. This is the yesterday traffic. Every internet exchange have in their homepage the stats, so everyone can see the real-time stats, the daily stats, the monthly, weekly, yearly average, and that's on. This is in Germany. Yesterday was almost 5 terabits. And this is the growth of the traffic in 5 years. So in 5 years, this is the trend of the traffic exchanged. This is the M6, is a little less than the others. The 1 day traffic average. And this is yearly. It's sorry, my mistake was 1 year. 1 year average. So 1 year traffic increase up to this one. About the numbers, AS number, ports, traffic peak, and capacity. But because I'm used to talk about this topic, I have a collection of screenshots so you can measure the growth and the trend of the traffic and the members. This is like near 2 years, no more. November 2014, 685. In March 2015, 711. Yesterday, 792. So the members are growing. The peak traffic is growing. The capacity is growing. The growth is impressive, and the more they grow, the less I have to use the upstream ISP. This is the topic of my presentation. You will have also public and private peering, so everyone can participate at the route server, or you can peer directly with them, one-to-one, or both of them. This is the most used form, so public peering and private peering. Why? Because in direct peering, the AS path will be shorter. So your BGP router will use this route and not the other. The consequence will be that you will start to peer like a hell. What about the router? I have a question for you. How many into this room are using RouterOS for doing BGP? Raise your hands. Yes, not a lot, but not too less. Okay. People are not used to use MikroTik or RouterOS for doing BGP. This is the flagship CCR router from MikroTik. Is 1 unit rack mount, 8 SFP plus slots, so 8 SFP plus is 8 10 gigabit interfaces, 62 cores for 1 gigahertz CPU, 16 gigabyte of RAM, it is impressive, 2 removable hot plug power supply, and these are the speed, up to 100 million packets per second or 80 gigabit per second throughput. Let's now start to compare prices. This is your CCR and does not require hardware option to buy, except the SP cage, of course, and no additional licenses for doing BGP or MPLS or anything else. Everything is included. The list price is $3,000. Sorry, but they are using dollars for list price. I don't know why, but this is MikroTik style. You can ask for the current price at the exhibitor area. You have 3 or 4 distributors. So you can write here, you can print at home the slide, you can write it how many times this product cost this one. I don't have to write the prices. You can multiply, just multiply. How many? 6, 10, 12, 20, how many? You can write yourself a number. So, but there are reasons for not to use RouterOS BGP router. How are the reasons? So, this is the purpose of my presentation. My experience with RouterOS and BGP and using a lot of routes. So, I start to use RouterOS with BGP in 2007 with the version 3. Then I upgraded to the version 4, then the version 5, now the version 6.34 I have running, And I will upgrade, obviously, to the version 7. And I don't know when, but maybe soon. And it never crash, never. Never reboot, except for the upgrades, of course. Yes, I can say you that it's working, and it's working very, very well. This is a screenshot of the peer in my router, but it's not possible to fit all in one slide, so I better print some result. So, how many peer I have? 78. So my RouterOS is peering with 78 AS number. How many route is managing my RouterOS BGP router? 1.5 million routes. Yes, that's it. And they are active. How many? Near 600,000. Other brands, I don't want to write the name, crash. And not a long time ago, when reached, yes, that's it. It happened. And when I see the news on the website, I was speechless. I thought, wow, what happened? This is the big brand in the world, but yes, in BGP, crash, and was called BGP Apocalypse. So, other key point about RouterOS and BGP, the booting time. I tried with other brands that boot in minutes, lot of minutes. My CCR boot in less than 30 seconds, maybe 15, but I wrote 30 for stay safe. And when upgrade and reboot will be up and running in less than 60 seconds. So when you try to change brand, you will notice that. So it's unbelievable. An easy edit in RouterOS. Try to make a mistake writing a BGP peer in iOS, for example. What do you have to do then? You have to remove a section, or try to copy and paste again. I don't know. You can't edit a line. It's in 2016, so not 20 years ago. You can edit anything, just a single line of code, yes, in RouterOS. You have the copy button. When peering, it's very, very useful. Just take a peer, copy, change the remote address, AS number, a key, the filters, apply. That's it. 2 clicks. The undo, yes, is dangerous, but it's very, very useful if you know what you are doing. If you want to undo the last action that you remember which one was, of course, yes, the undo. I made a mistake, just 1 click, undo, and that's it. And what about performance? The cloud-hosted router that, like Yannis said, I don't know the content of his presentation, so I have 2 slides that are very similar. It's a special distribution and license. It's a license for using RouterOS in a virtual environment. So you can build your router, and maybe it's virtual and redundant, maybe with HA, so high availability. With, for example, VMware, you can do that, yes. With Proxmox, yes, that it's free also, without support. You can build a full redundant router, just buying the license of the CHR, and the cost is nothing for unlimited speed of interface with all features full enable and unlimited, yes. And a few tips and tricks for peering safely, because I discovered in years that not all the AS number know my slides. So, first, MD5. When planning to peer, with someone else, you should consider to use an MD5 password. It's free. You have just to write down a password and that's it. So the connection between the peers is encrypted, just the connection, like authentication, sorry. And the MAC address. So when you are connected to a route server in an internet exchange, you should not change the MAC address of the interface that you are using to connect with them, or they will block you. They have automatic filters and rules that check for MAC address, for example, when there are layer 2 violations, they will close the peer. That's it. So if you have to change a router, just change the MAC address on the new routers, you can, or maybe call before the change to the manager of the NOC of the M6 or the internet exchange, sorry, and tell them the new MAC addresses. And IPv4 and IPv6. Yes, BGP support more than one protocol for each peer, but you should use different IP addresses for each session. So, for example, this is my router. I am peering with Akamai, with Apple, with 2 routers. So, double router, router 1, router 2, and 1 peer for IPv4 and 1 peer for IPv6, and that's it. And filtering. This is my preferred slides. So you should protect. So I'm used to say that internet is made with routers, wires, and wizards. Nothing else. 3 ingredients. And BGP, my definition for BGP is an agreement between gentlemen, because you have to trust in the others, and the opposite. The others have to trust in you. So, in respect to the others, you have to build routing filters to avoid to announce private addresses, because maybe you start to play with routing protocols in RouterOS. Maybe you click a checkbox to redistribute connected, and you will start to announce maybe private addresses. And this is not polite. So it seems to be very, very stupid rules, but they are not. Please believe me. So then avoid to receive private addresses, because if someone else made this mistake, you have to drop these routes. And avoid to receive your own addresses. If someone else starts to advertise your address space, yes, that happens, you have to drop this address. Avoid to be used as a transit, removing synchronize on advertisement. And you can manipulate, upload and download preferences. So this is not a BGP class, but you know that in BGP there are very, very few kind of way to manipulate, upload and download using the prepend or other things. It's okay if you have 2 upstreams, for example, but if you start to peer with the others, this game will not work anymore. So if you start to have more than 2 peers, I discovered that in the world, it's not just my thing, but it's a common thing, is to let the flow happen. So don't try to steer the traffic. Maybe you will find some strange routes, try to steer them, and it's the opposite. Shit happen. I hope to not to tell you something strange in Denmark, I don't know. So this is a real email that I received. I obfuscate the AS number and the names, but they appear. Currently, I notice that someone advertised a default route. Yes, it happened. This is a real email and is in September 2015. It's not 20 years ago. Someone advertised a default route. Yes, so you have to filter and drop a default route. Yes. If someone else, for a mistake, start to advertise, drop it. If you want to be safe, respecting those rules, it's very easy. I will jump back to slides. In out filter, it's simply to write rules. You have just to accept filters with your prefixes, the first rules, and just one at the bottom with drop anything else. So you will not advertise by mistake default routes or other routes different than yours. It's easy. Then the netboard discovery protocol. You have to disable this protocol on the interface facing the internet exchange because it produces traffic, and their filter maybe intercept you like a threat and will close your port. That's it. And the community. The BGP community is not well used, but with the community you can use the other routers like a remote. You can remote the other routers. How? Using the communities. For example, I print the Cogent AS 1674. Using these community settings, you can set local preference, for example, to advertise routes or not, to put a route in a black hole or not. It's a remote control of the routers of the others. Do not send routes to Europe or US or anything else. It depends on the counterpart. Everyone have a set of commands. And that's it. The prefix limit. Every peer advertise the prefix that they have. You have to protect you for receiving some leaks. Maybe someone start to advertise a lot of prefixes, and it's unsafe if you receive and use these routes. So if you are peering with a counterpart that advertises just 7 prefixes, I can filter him, telling my router to stop to accept more than 10 prefixes, for example. He announced 7, I can set the filter to 10 and no more. If he starts to announce more, we'll drop the session, the BGP session. So you can set the prefix limit there in the BGP peer in Wingbox, and you can watch the prefix here, prefix count. This should be Hurricane Electric, I think. Yes, 60,000. It's Hurricane. It's 66,000 today. The prefix count is 59,000 prefixes. So I will go back. I can set up a filter to 66,000, for example. I will not accept more than these routes. So if one day they will start to advertise more routes, I will drop the session for save my routes. And happen this, I don't have the year printed, sorry. This is in 2015 also. Someone else leak about 3,000 IPv4 bogon prefixes. So they advertise dangerous routes. So how to protect you about them? First, using the prefix limit that I showed you before, and second, using a free services that, if you don't know that exists but is quite common today, is a Team Simru, is a non-profit organization that provides free BGP peering for you. It's a free services you don't have to pay for. So you can visit their website, you can ask for a peer, you can peer with them into the BGP peer that will be multi-hop, of course. They will feed you daily updated bogon prefixes, and you can make a filter to drop these routes from your routers. So you will be safe against bogons. Some tips about Wingbox. Everyone that I know, me included, the first time start to run the BGP, when you try to check the routes, you can go in IP routes in Wingbox. Wingbox tell you that there are many routes, so Wingbox telling you that don't click here, but everyone tried at least once, yes. What happened? That all the routes are fed into the Wingbox and PC memory. So if you have 1 million routes, you have 1 million routes fed into the memory. Usually you have to wait minutes, it's not broken, or maybe Wingbox crash. It depends on the system. So you can use the command line interface, and I can show you very few interesting commands to copy and paste. IP route print count only, for example, that print all the routes, how many are. The routes advertised by a peer name or all details finding an IP address. So the most common use of this command is, so I have this IP address and you don't know about the subnet that contains the IP address. You have to search about a single IP addresses. So what are the routes available on my routers that I am peering with hundreds of peers? With this command, we make a big and huge query inside the RouterOS routes. You can find all the routes that I can show you in the next slide. Or you can print the route that you are receiving from a peer name. Very simple and useful commands for daily use. This is the command that I told you. If I want to see, looking for an IP addresses, how many routes I have? I have 5 routes. 5 routes, how many active? 1 and 2. 2 active and 3 inactive. That's it. So, additional BGP letters. My NetFlow presentation in Ljubljana this year, sorry, I made a mistake. It's 2016. I have to correct. It's about NetFlow and BGP, and it's very interesting. And the DOS SETEC detection and mitigation about my Brazilian colleague Maya. Also, this was a mistake, 2016, this year, in March. And the DOS mitigation playbook, this is right, was two weeks ago in Dallas by my friend Tom Smith. And this one, it's very interesting for people that never try to use BGP with RouterOS. This presentation is like a free manual. It's a free training because in these slides, Maya explained all the things you can do and how with RouterOS and BGP. If you are peering with 1 upstream, 2 upstream, 2 upstream, and 1 internet exchange, all the combination. It's very, very interesting and it's free. So, what do we need more? Hoping to find some news in RouterOS 7. We need now the RPKey I implementation. It's a Uno, or what's that? Anyone know? One? Just one, okay. It's a ripe colleague. This is why. Other vendors implemented this is experimental protocol. It's not official in production. Actually, they have in Cisco, the first one was Juniper that implemented, and then Cisco, I know. And it's a way to peer with the others to avoid to receive fake routes. That's it. So when you peer with someone else, the router will check into the RIPE database the routes that you have published, and you can the router will receive only those routes. That's it. No less, no more. It's for safe peering, yes. It's a certification in peering. They told me that they will implement in version 7, but it's a secret. And we need a real database for the routes, because yes, RouterOS is interesting, but if you try to make the query that I showed you before in big routers like mine with like 2 million routes, you have to wait until 1 minute, because the database does not exist. It's not a database. This is why. It's not optimized, and they promise to make a real database for the routes in the next version, that should be the 7. And the 30-bit community support that, yes, is not standard. Actually, you can use also 32-bit communities in RouterOS using the extended communities, yes, but we prefer this one. So, at the end, use RouterOS for BGP. It's working very well. It's stable, it's safe, it's affordable, it's cheap, it's everything you can desire from a router. Improve your BGP knowledge, and like my friend Tom Smith say, buy bigger routers, BH. This is my new logo, routing and peering the world from MikroTik. Thank you. Some questions? Yes, go on.
One more node go in MikroTik when you're using BGP.
Sorry, one?
There's one more no-go when you use BGP in MikroTik. Don't enable SNMP.
No, I don't hear you, sorry.
You should not enable SNMP when using BGP.
NP?
Yeah. SNMP for monitoring because the BGP session will put all the route in the SNMP table as well, and it costs quite high CPU uses on the router.
It's correct.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question? I couldn't hear what it said. Can you repeat?
I said that you should not use SNMP while using BGP routing, because it put all the BGP routes into the SNMP table, and it costs quite high CPU uses. So the router will turn out not really usable if you're doing that. So it was just another no-go.
You don't get that problem if you buy the biggest ones, by the way.
Any other question? One, yeah.
You didn't say anything about the fact that the router version 7, RouterOS version 6 only can use a single core with the BGP. You don't think that's an issue?
Yes, this is an issue, yes, of course, but depend on the power of your router. Yes, will be useful to have, they should implement, of course, multi-core routing in RouterOS 7, yes, and is another things that they are saying that, yes, they will implement. They told us that. And, but I didn't found troubles in a single core, actually. So in my router, I will download 2 full routing tables in less than 40 seconds with a single core process. So usually I know that other brands are slower at the speed. So it's a thing to to apply, but I don't have any issue with a single core process, actually, with big routers, of course, with processor.
There's the point where it's only for installing and updating routing table. The router will still use all the cores for the routing purpose itself, so you don't have the limitation of one core in routing.
Yes, 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 of course, of course. Any other question? Okay, thank you. If you have some question later, I will be here all this day. Thank you.